The dumbfounded people filmed a unique and one-of-a-kind being. Everyone in the area is afraid of him. This is the moment the fabled Loch Ness Monster was officially spotted for the first time this year, bringing more than 8 months of uncertainty to an end. The Sun reports Nessie's official recorder admitted he had been worried after a dry spell of sightings meant not one person had claimed to see the beast since August last year. Enthusiasts were so concerned about Nessie, Gary Campbell, the official recorder, revealed he had fielded calls from as far afield as Adelaide and Moscow. But tourist Haley Johnson from Manchester saw a strange and dark shape at dusk in the Loch's Urquhart Bay yesterday, said to be a favorite haunt of Nessie. The 20-year-old care assistant from Abbey Hay, Manchester said, "I couldn't believe my eyes. I'm a really skeptical person. I've never ever been to Loch Ness before, but I decided to come up for the bank holiday. I'd stayed in a backpacker's hotel and on my last night decided to go for a walk through the woods and ended up on the banks of the loch. It was lovely and at dusk. Then about half a mile away I saw this dark shape sticking up, like a neck. I thought at first it was a tree, but it was very strange. Then it took a picture. It was there for a couple seconds, and when I looked back it was gone. I was shocked. I was really excited about Nessie as a child, but to be honest I thought Nessie had probably died in the 1930s. I didn't think she was alive anymore. I now know that she's very much alive. I'm just so excited. It's unbelievable what's happened." Gary said, "There have been sightings of Nessie there before. This is a credible sighting but is obviously unexplained. I was quite worried that there had been an 8-month gap since the last sighting, and so the whole world, it seemed. I fielded calls from around the world, from Moscow, Adelaide, and California, everywhere asking what happened to Nessie. I'm relieved and delighted with this sighting, and so will the planet. Last year was a record for the 21st century with 8 sightings, and then she seemed to have disappeared. Nessie's seen in the winter, but she's much more common in the summer. This is why it was unusual that nothing was seen. The reason for the summer sightings is twofold. There are more people around in the summer, but more importantly, there's much more daylight hours and the weather tends to be better." He said 2016 was a fantastic year for Nessie sightings, which he put down to the growth of smartphones and webcams. He added 2 of the sightings were webcam, including one from an online watcher in America. Gary said, "It means that there are more people than ever looking for Nessie, which would explain the rise in last year's sightings. In fact, you have to go back to 2000 when there were 11 sightings for more appearances of Nessie." The last previous sighting was on August 21st when Ian Campbell, a government worker from Argyll, was cycling along the west side of the loch near Drumnadrochit with his son and a family friend when he pictured 2 creatures in the loch about 33 feet in length just out from the shore. Australia's Murray River is an ancient waterway, the country's longest at 2,508 kilometers, that has carved a path from the snowy mountains in New South Wales through Victoria and into the Great Australian Bight. The river is part of the Murray-Darling Basin system, which stretches along the east coast and contains 6 of Australia's 7 longest rivers, providing Australia's most significant agricultural area with water. Once common in the Murray-Darling region, emus are still found there, but their populations are now more concentrated in the Red Centre and Western Australia, driven west by agriculture. In contrast to most birds, the male emu sits on the nest and incubates the eggs, about the size of an eggplant, for about 55 days before they hatch. He then remains with the emu chicks to teach them how to find food until they reach about 6 months old, while the female looks for another mate. They generally travel in pair but can form large flocks when moving long distances to search for food, such as in Western Australia where they migrate on foot to the north in summer and south in winter. They're foragers and their diet consists of native plants and fruits, along with insects, ants, and caterpillars. Interest in the story of the monster, as the newspaper called it, steadily grew and eventually became a media sensation. The earliest written reference to a monster in Loch Ness dates back all the way to around 500 AD. However, the legend of the beast didn't start to gain international attention until the 1933 sighting. For decades after the first sighting, amateur investigators searched for the creature, and in the 1960s, several universities launched sonar expeditions to the lake. The technology was reportedly able to detect some type of large moving underwater objects they could not identify. In 1975, another expedition combined sonar and underwater photography in Loch Ness. A photo resulted that, after enhancement, appeared to show what vaguely resembled a giant flipper of an aquatic animal. Additional expeditions in the 1980s and 90s resulted in more inconclusive readings. A famous photograph in 1934 seemed to show a dinosaur-like creature with a long neck coming out of the waters, but it was revealed a year later the photo was a hoax. Efforts to find hard evidence or proof of the creature's existence have been unsuccessful. However, many reported sightings throughout the decades have helped to keep the legend alive.